Okay, great. Last thing I need to do is just read through our hearing script. This basically is just going to cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll jump right into it. So this is the August 24th, 2022 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220118. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing, unless a party has submitted evidence or testimony in the form of writing prior to this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. Anyone from the public, if there were anyone here from the public, they'd have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. In the event any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument that's been offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, it looks like everyone is either a part of this project or owner on the property. I don't anticipate that we have anyone here in opposition. So what I'd like to do is just, I'm pretty liberal about how I let folks orient these presentations. So whoever would like, one or all of you can tell me about this project, why you think it's appropriate, why I should grant this relief, any background you think it's important for me to know about this project in order to make the decision. I'll have some questions along the way. And then I'll allow you to make any closing remarks. And again, that can be one or all of you. And then we'll wrap up the hearing. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at this hearing. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay, the last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses before I start taking testimony. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, asking any questions, really doing anything other than just strictly observing here today, then you need to be sworn in. So I'm going to try and do that now. So if you believe that's you, if you could take yourself off of mute. I will need everyone to raise their right hand and to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Looks like we have one more person trying to join us by phone here. I don't know if they're with us yet. But okay, who's going to be taking the lead here for us on the presentation?
I mean, Walt or Daniel, one of you obviously know the operation the best. I think it'd be ideal for one of you two to run through the use of the space, and if there's any technical questions regarding the actual building, I can jump in there. But I think for the most part, we're looking at just the use as opposed to just the building. So I think that's probably best left to one of you two.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm happy to jump in and kick that off, and then we'll ask Lady Bester to just kind of affirm the church's intent on this as well. But Urban Next, who you've heard several of the folks here on the call, we are a private Christian school operator. We partner with churches in primarily inner city communities to help them offer a school to their community. And so that's what we are doing with Greater New Life Baptist. I think and again, I'll ask Lady Bester to weigh in on this from their perspective, but we really consider ourselves an outreach and extension of the ministry of that local church by offering a particular form of a high school model within the premises of the church. And so our high school model is a microcampus model. So what you would see is that we are taking space on the lower floor of the church building. Our classroom size is limited up to 40 students. So again, that's the microcampus. It's a high school of grades 8 to 12 using primarily a blended learning approach. And so what that means is students are working through a digital curriculum with the assistance of a in-classroom teacher on site at the campus. And so again, it's a private Christian school partnered in with Greater New Light Baptist, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with them and serve the community there. So maybe I'll leave it there to begin with, and see kind of what what questions you would have, and again see if Lady Bester wants to discuss it from the standpoint of the church.
Sure. Good morning. I am Cassandra Bester. I am representing the Greater New Light Baptist Church. My husband is the current pastor here. He is at work and unable to attend today. But as Mr. Tracy stated, we are excited about the opportunity to bring much needed education into the area of Avondale for our children. I do teach outside of here for Cincinnati Public, so I do know that the kids there are some children that need what Urban Next is offering. And we are certainly grateful to be able to offer the building, which Fred L. Shuttlesworth did found. And if you're familiar with him, education was important to him, as well as making sure that every child has the right to a great education. So again, we consider it an honor and a privilege to be able to extend our building to offer that opportunity to each and every one. So we're just grateful.
Great. Okay. Thank you. D. Fred Shuttlesworth founded that church?
Yes, he did. My husband is his grandson, actually. So
oh,
yes.
Wow. That's incredible. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Anybody else?
I think I will kind of jump in and just make a couple points that we don't feel that the neighborhood will be impacted by the use of this space by Urban Next. We feel the parking is adequate. So we don't feel there will be any adverse effects to the neighborhood with allowing this conditional use within the space.
Okay. A few questions I wanted to toss out. What is the anticipated enrollment of the school?
Yeah, again, the classroom is built to max at 40 students. We potentially will run a couple of sessions of that, so the enrollment can grow to 80, but it would only be 40 on campus at any one point in time.
And I believe I read in the materials that there is an online component, excuse me, and an in-classroom component?
Yeah, it's really all in classroom. They're using digital curriculum on site, and so there's the potential on sick days or weather or that kind of thing that they would operate online, but it is primarily an on-site program, again using digital curriculum there. Okay.
And so one of the standards that I consider in the zoning code is whether this is appropriately located, designed, and configured for the area. Sort of more broadly, is this compatible with the area? This is a single family zoning district, which means primarily residential, but could you talk about that a little bit more, how this is compatible, whether there'll be any adverse effects, anything like that?
At that point, it is within an existing church. Obviously, you do have schools within single family residential districts as well. So it is compatible with that use. And again, it's not a new building. It is strictly using the existing church building, and again, limited to the 40 students. So you're not going to have buses running up and down the street. You're not going to have a lot of traffic added to the neighborhood. We just feel that there would be no adverse effects in utilizing that space for the 4 days a week. Correct, Walt?
No, it's 5. It is
5 days a week. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And the hours are, let's see, 7:45 to
about 12:30.
yeah.
And then the potential to run a second session in the 1 to 5 time frame.
Gotcha. Okay. Ms. Bester, I assume that you believe that the church has adequate infrastructure in terms of parking and all of that sort of thing to accommodate this use.
Yes, sir. The building was erected in 1971. It is able to house that and additionally some more. There are adequate spaces for pullouts. I do believe so, yes.
And so the space that we're looking at is actually currently configured for, I believe, is it 200 people for the occupant load?
It is the church's fellowship hall, and it can seat 350 with chairs, and I think 175 if with tables.
Tables.
So there is also a separate entrance from the main sanctuary, so they would enter from the lower street level. There is a parking lot that holds about 50 to 75 cars as well. So I do believe that the space is adequate.
Do you
And that school, I'm sorry, sir, the school day would be off hours of the church, correct?
Correct. Correct.
So there won't be overlapping church and school uses at the same time?
No, sir. We basically, since the pandemic, we use the church only on Sundays. And then everything else is normally done via Zoom.
Okay. All right. Great. I think that's all the questions I have. I'll give any or all of you an opportunity to say anything in closing or otherwise before we adjourn you today.
No, thanks so much for your time. We're excited to begin to serve the neighborhood there.
Great. Okay. All right. We'll leave it at that then. I want to thank you all for your time and your testimony here this morning. I have had a chance to review the application materials and the staff report from the zoning department. Based on all of that and based on the testimony that I've heard here today, I am going to go ahead and approve this application. I need to formalize that decision in a written opinion, a written document. That's generally what takes a week or two for me to do. I'll try and get that to you as soon as I possibly can. And then once you have that, typically what I'll do is I'll type it up and I'll put it into a PDF and then email it to everybody who's in the hearing here today. So you all will have a copy. And then as soon as you have that emailed PDF, you can start working with whoever you were working with in the zoning department. I believe it was Walt Mueller, or it could be somebody else. But at that point, he can then approve all the permitting and get you guys started. So look out for that email from me with the decision attached. And again, as soon as you have that, you can start to move forward. If you have any questions, well, do you have any questions now about any of that?
No, sir.
Okay. If you have any questions in the future, feel free to reach out to myself or the zoning department directly. Happy to help you with any of that. Or if you want a status update on the decision, you can reach out to me directly. I'll let you know where I'm at. But again, I'll try and get that out to you as soon as I possibly can.
Great.